Hi, this is Digital Dates. My name is Amanda Rowe. I am the head teacher of languages at Finnegan School of Distance Education. I teach German. I have a group of Year 11 beginners, a group of Year 12 beginners, and a group of Year 12 continuers. So I'm just going to outline some of the key ways that we use technology. We have a learning management system to track the progress for our students. Students return work, we record it. We record when it's being sent back to students, and we also record all of our communication with students. DE is highly administrative. For students, they have a learning platform, which is Moodle. That's their first point of call for everything. They always go to Moodle first, even if they're using a link there to something else like ClickView, YouTube. We don't use YouTube too much though. We use H5P with interactive content that is embedded in Moodle. Moodle also has some of that, or we use Adobe as well. PDF files that are enabled where students can type in the answers and that sort of thing. But it's really important that, we do keep it fairly simple, and it's really important that we don't have too many platforms and send students off into too many places, because it becomes confusing. We also use Adobe. Traditionally, we use Adobe Connect. We're using Zoom a little bit more at the moment. Again, students would go to Moodle to find the link for that. And also I use Audacity. It's not probably the newest or the greatest thing at the moment, but I use it for creating audio. I might be editing an audio file that I'm using, or I might be using it to record my own voice as well for messages for students. How am I preparing for online teaching in Term 2? How will I be teaching my senior classes? What do I see as the challenges for online learning, and how am I preparing to counter these? So I really haven't changed a lot that I do. I've just shifted from work to my home. Most of my teaching, or most of the teaching and learning, happens independently. Students work from materials that are in Moodle, and it's sort of all brought together in a live lesson that happens once a week. I use the live lesson to focus on things that the students wouldn't be able to do when they're working independently. So our focus might be speaking, because it's hard to achieve that when they're on their own. With a class, it might be a great time to use for collaboration, because that's something that they might not do. They might not do it in real time. It's a good opportunity for that. One of the challenges I think would be that students they won't be used to working independently. They may need some strategies to help them. I think it's really important to have clear expectations. Students need to know what they have to do, what's expected of them, and the instructions need to be fairly straightforward. I think a really good way to deliver instructions sometimes is with video, and we create videos or recordings of our voice to deliver instructions that we perceive might be challenging, because anything that is too challenging for a student, or anything that is confusing, students may disengage. And to see to see us or to hear us is really helpful. And students might need help with their routine. They might ask you about it. I know schools are doing a lot of really good things at the moment, but they might need to, they might come to you for some tips relating to their routine. You have used online learning in your school for some time. Can you explain how you have set online assessment tasks, collected them, and provided feedback? So this is fairly new for us as well, because traditionally we would have sent a handwritten or a paper copy of a task to the school, and the students would have been supervised. But we have used Moodle to deliver some of our tasks, and Moodle has some functions. Other software have these functions as well, to open and close assessment tasks on certain dates, and also within that open period they have a password. So it might be that they don't get the password, that their supervisor will get the password, and it's then delivered at a time when we sort of specify. Also timers, so once a task opens, there's a countdown timer on the task, and sometimes that can deter a student from leaving there. If they have to keep working and they know they've got a certain time frame, they might just focus on that task. Feedback for quite often I will make an audio file or a video to give some tips about the assessment task. I might make that quite general. Week to week though, with students sending me work, I also create audio files because they're very quick to do and I can deliver my message really easily, and it's sometimes better delivered via an audio file than it is if I type out what I want to say to a student. Supervision, I've also in Adobe Connect or in Zoom, I've also used that platform for supervision. So I've asked a student to log in. I have shared, I can share my screen. Students can share their screen, so I can see what they're doing. And if I'm using if there's a stimulus text or something, then I'm delivering it at a time. I'm not delivering it beforehand via email or something like that. It's happening in real time. We also use the assessments, our school's assessment procedure. So we remind students that that is there and that their work should be all their own. And talk to them about make sure that they're really aware of all the procedures around malpractice and things like that. I have also used at the end, when I've delivered a task, I delivered a task here. I've got an example of one that I used in Google Forms. I didn't particularly like Google Forms, but at the end I added this. I asked students to acknowledge that they understand the rules associated with work that is all of their own and malpractice, and how there can be some penalties for that. Can you explain how your students have used online tools to document their learning, both practical and written, in your subject? What have been the advantages and the challenges? So I don't know if this answers this question completely, but our students have a pretty clear expectation of what they need to do. With their student planner that we send at the beginning of the course, it tells them what they need to work on week to week, and they can kind of check off what they're doing. In addition to that, whenever they're working on a unit of work, there is a weekly plan. It tells them what they should be doing in each lesson, and there's a checklist at the end. It lets them know what they should have completed and what they should have returned to me. Also, Moodle allows students to track their work. We can also give them badges and things like that as well. But the key thing there is that whatever is on their student planner actually matches up. The names of things match up with, so if their student planner tells them to do a particular unit of work, they find it there labelled in Moodle exactly like that, and it's pretty clear. So it's easy to track what they are doing. What are some of the processes you are using to manage your language faculty at this time? Are there any digital tools that have been particularly useful to assist with this? We've been using Microsoft Teams. We were using it before, but we've probably doubled or tripled the amount of time we've spent in Teams. We have channels. I have had to make, it's a trial and error. I've had to make some decisions about how we use it, how we use the channels. So our channels initially, I'll just share our general channel. This initially, we used it a lot for conversations, but I had switched it off. I'm the only person who can post things into our general channel now, and these are all the key pieces of information. I like to get teachers to just acknowledge that they've read it, and this is where key information is, and teachers can quickly find it there, and it's because the volume of posts and things have been limited on that channel. We have a daily check-in that teachers can use. In the morning, they go in there and say good morning. They might post things about their day or share photographs and things like that. It's very social. We also have another channel that we use, just work related. So questions and answers about deadlines, reporting and things like that. We have faculty meetings in Teams as well. Just in terms of you know, the volume of work that teachers are doing, there's a lot of professional learning available for staff at the moment. It's like an explosion of professional learning. And I've asked my staff to be mindful about what they choose, you know, how much time that there's just so much. I've asked them to be picky and choosy about which ones they do. The ones that have been produced by the languages and cultures team have been really good. They're quite specific to languages. So, you know, I would, some teachers might really like to do that professional learning, but I think there's an overload at some point, and they need to sort of, I've asked them to be mindful of how much they're doing. But another great place for support is the Yammer group, our virtual language staff room. These are really great for support, and I've encouraged my staff to go and use those. Do you have any online learning tips or resources you would like to share that you have not covered today? So I wanted to talk about my DE students having most of the answers to the work that they do in Moodle. The answers are right there for them to check, and I encourage them to do the work, check it straight away, because immediate feedback, if they can get that, is really good. Moodle even has some of the activities that will answer, you know, they attempt it and it gives them the answer straight away. I do want to see some of their activities, but I don't want to mark all of their work. Cam Scanner is the way I encourage them to work. So I just wanted to point out that my students take a photograph of their work and they send it to me. I like to mark in Moodle, but Moodle's not compatible with the file format coming from an iPhone. So I encourage them to use an app like Cam Scanner or an app like it, where the image is converted straight to a PDF. Also, the Notes app on a phone will do the same thing, convert it straight to PDF. I think it's really important for students to establish a routine. Obviously, they have a routine, but a routine associated with returning work. And it does need to be a little bit flexible. So there might be an expectation in DE that students return work every Friday, you know, which is going to work for the majority of students. Some students, though, we don't know what circumstance they're working under. And they might be at the moment looking after younger siblings and helping them get through their work as well. So a little bit of flexibility. My students, you know, they know that they can choose any day or any time that they want to return their work. I don't really mind. Whatever they do is up to them, provided that they are sending work regularly. You know, they might pick a Monday instead so that they've got the weekend to work on something and submit it. Provided that they're sending me work every week, I'm really happy. I just wanted to point out that, you know, most schools will probably tell teachers which platform they want the students to be in, whether it's, you know, Teams or Google Classrooms. But I would just ask teachers to consider what, if they're using a platform with a feed. So in Moodle, the work sits in Moodle, it's very stationary, it's in the same place. Every time a student goes in there, they know where to find it. If you're posting work to a feed and it keeps moving, it's like our Teams channel, the general channel in Teams from my faculty. Information was being lost. It was posted at the bottom and it would keep moving up and it would be lost, and it was really hard for teachers to find, and that's why I made that decision. And it's the same with students. If the work keeps moving, it becomes really confusing for students to find, so just keep that in mind. And recording, voice recordings, short videos are excellent for students. It does engage them in a way, because seeing and hearing you sometimes is better than reading an instruction, especially if the instructions are confusing. The fact that they can see or hear you, you know, is more likely to engage them. And especially if instructions are a little bit confusing, or if you want to explain something, this is a better way to capture those students and make sure that they're not disengaging. So that is it from me. I do hope that you found something useful in this video, and I'm happy for, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy for people to get in touch and ask. Thanks.